What's up, YouTube? It's Mr. Ferguson here once again. Thank you for coming back for another video here in Central North Carolina. It's that time of year, it's early spring, and I don't know about you guys, but my lawn is looking pretty good. We've done several mows here in Central North Carolina. I know some of you that are up north, you're just now getting into the swing of it. I think I've talked to Curtis in the comment section and others. You're just coming out of snow, you're just coming out of really colder temperatures, and you're getting out in the lawn and you're beginning to mow. And we're beginning to see that more in our Lowe's is being packed, our Home Depots. We see cars are just flooding there. They're buying mulch. We just did mulch in our tree lines here and on the tree line behind me. We did that last video with Miss Ferguson over at Mr. Kevin's. And so spring is in full effect here, at least in Central North Carolina, and probably points north is beginning to take off as well. So one of the things that we don't always focus on, we don't always talk about, but we do tend to do this video each and every year for those that are new to my channel, and that's talking about insects in our lawn. It is actually one of the things we did cover in the NC State conference that I went to down in Wilmington or New Hanover here in North Carolina. One of the things that I love to talk about and to preach is this guy right here that the comment section told me about years past, and it's called Tallstar. It is the main ingredient is called bifin, and it's 7.9%. But this is an awesome product that works well in our lawn. And I'm noticing and looking up crane flies. Are you guys here in North Carolina noticing a lot of crane flies? If I find a picture, I'll put a picture here or somewhere on the screen. It almost looks like what I would think is a mosquito. Mosquitoes are actually smaller. It's almost like a granddaddy long leg with a different body. And it flies around when I'm walking through my lawn, and if I can film and show you them taking off, I'm seeing a lot of them in my lawn. So I begin to look this up on Uncle Google and see what he had to say about crane flies, because I believe I've researched this before, and the crane fly tends to feed off the shoots of nice lawns. So your lawn, my lawn, they can be a problem. They can cause damage to your turf. One of the things now, I don't think that Tallstar specifically will defend against that, but we're going to talk a little bit about what Tallstar does do, why I love it so much. I'll tell you my stories I tell every year for the new people that haven't heard it, but we need to begin to think about that. Actually, here's one right here. So you can see, I don't know if you can see him as I walk. You see this guy right here. He's right in front of us flying around right there. I can see him on the screen, so hopefully you can as well. These guys will fly all over my lawn, and even when I'm walking, there's another one that just took off, but he's being nice so that we can get up close to him. But you see, these guys right here are in the lawn. They won't hurt you, they won't bite you, but they're, I believe by what I just looked up, they're the crane fly. They will eat and damage some of your turf. Now, how significant that is, I don't know. I'm learning some of it myself. And what are the defenses against these guys? I've never treated for these things called crane flies, but if you have, let me know in the comments what type of damage do they cause, and what is the best treatment that you found for them. So it's a good time to consider a good insecticide. Now, it doesn't have to be Tallstar. You don't have to use the links in the description below. As I always say, even though I will link this, I like Tallstar. That's why I bought a huge bottle. It is proven to me that it does everything that I've needed it to do, that I'm knowledgeable about, if that makes sense. The biggest problem here in Central North Carolina that I've found as far as insects is, before we had good looking turf grass here in my lawn, we had a major problem with fire ants. That's what we dealt with here. Since we first moved in here in Central North Carolina, it was a fire ant problem, especially over here in specific areas. They would always come back. The first year, I'll never forget, the first year we kind of was playing with them. They're coming out of the mound. We poured gas on them and I burned them. And it was like, cool, you get to play with fire. We get that pyro instinct in us. But they returned. They moved the location. And so walking the neighborhood, I see this in other people's lawns that doesn't have turf grass like we do here with fescue. I see huge mounds of these building up in different lawns. They don't have grass, and it's almost like it's worse where you don't have turf grass. Now, I haven't seen any ant mounds this year, but this past fall, I do recall that we saw an ant mound form right up by our mailbox. Well, I took to action. You can put, we're going to talk about the details of Tallstar real fast just to inform you about it if you're interested. But we put some Tallstar in that area on top of that ant mound, and no more problem. The next day or 2 days later at tops, I went, kicked the dirt, and there's absolutely no ants there. It handles fire ants. I went to Wilmington. I tell this story almost every year, but it's because it proved itself to me. My brother asked me, said, "Hey, you're coming. Do you have anything to help with fire ants?" We put Baloo, his little pug, let him run out in the backyard, and he keeps coming back, and he has these little ant bites, and we see ant mounds everywhere. I said, "Yep, exactly know what to do." We brought Tallstar down to Wilmington. I did a blanket spray in their backyard. I did a blanket spray in their front yard, and they were good. Tallstar will last you up to 3 months of coverage if you apply it evenly and properly, and they said that absolutely did the trick. All the ants went away, their dog was able to play, it's pet safe once it dries, and no problems, it works. So we will link Tallstar in the description below. You can probably find it on Amazon. Obviously I'm affiliated with Do My Own. I enjoy the way they break things down, and that's what I want to kind of slide into right now quickly, is to tell you more about Tallstar. Maybe you don't have such of an ant problem, it's something else. Well, here you go. Here's the screen. There's the bifenthrin. 7.9% is what this bottle contains. Now, I've got the large bottle. You can get a smaller bottle if you want to test it out for yourself. If you have pets, I highly advise you to get something that will take care of the ants, take care of the bugs, so it's not tormenting your pets when they go outside. And this is cheap, it's safe. You can spray this on your house, you can spray this on items. It's not going to be toxic, it is safe, but we'll get there in a second. Over 75 insects are controlled by Tallstar and Bifen. You can also just buy Bifen straight up, and instead of Tallstar, just buy the Bifen product. It is similar. They do sell it. I've seen it at Ace Hardwares. I've seen it at Town and Countries. You can buy it from a local hardware store if you're out and you think about it. Stink bugs, bed bugs, scorpions, spiders. Scorpions, obviously, if you're out west, if you're in the Phoenix, the desert area, this helps with scorpions, surprisingly. Spiders, mosquitoes, cockroaches, ticks, fleas, pill bugs, chinch bugs, earwigs, millipedes, Chondra flea beetles, spittle bugs, and others. So there's the tops. Now, you guys also know behind me, you see that we have woods. So spraying this, I like to just spray the lawn. I don't really, I'll spray it a little bit over past the turf grass into the woods area, because we do want to prevent. Somebody just asked me, do I deal with a whole lot of ticks with having the woods back here? I don't think we've ever found a tick on myself or my daughters at all, for whatever reason. I don't know if they don't like these trees or what it is, but for the past at least 3 years, we've been spraying Tallstar at least once for 3-month coverage, and we've not really dealt with a ton of insect problems. We don't have a lot of mosquitoes. Like when I come outside and film videos, they're not a problem. I even do a barrier around the side of my house when I fill up my backpack sprayer. I'll do a couple gallons. So how much do you use, Mr. Ferguson? Well, it's for commercial and residential, indoor and outdoor perimeters, athletic fields, greenhouses, kennels, parks, restaurants, lawns, turf grass, landscape, ornamental, trees, and shrubs. So if you're having a lot of insect problems on your bushes, on your flowers, you can apply this to those as well. It's a great product. I highly recommend it. Not for use as a broadcast across interior surfaces or food and vegetable gardens. So don't be spraying your tomatoes, your food, or anything like that. For application, for the coverage area, it's 0.5 to 1 ounce per gallon of water per 1,000 square feet. So almost similar to CK. CK is 0.5 per 1,000. You can go from 0.5 to 1 ounce per 1,000 of the Tallstar, and it works great. I highly, highly recommend it. So up to 3 months of coverage. I've used it. I like to do it in spring. I also like to do it, we did it at our church for a bonfire. It worked great. Nobody was pestered with bugs. And out there where the church is, it's got woods surrounded by it everywhere. And when you don't apply this, mosquitoes are everywhere out there. It absolutely made a difference. If you plan on having a family reunion, if you plan on having an outdoor event, a graduation ceremony coming up for your kid, if you're having a prom, something outside, anything outside, highly recommend, check out the description of this video, check out Tallstar. It is not expensive, it is cheap. Here's some of the prices right here that you can find it. It is not a majorly expensive product. This is the liquid version. They also make a granular version that you can spread. I've never used the granular, I've only used this. The second thing I want to quickly talk about, you guys, that you may want to be, something that you may want to do, something that you may not want to do, is we're entering spring and we're entering grub season. White grubs can be a problem to turf grass. All right, so here is a life cycle of the grub. And as you can see, we are in the we're in the April phase, where the grub will kind of dive down when the temperatures get cool, but not super. When it gets cold, they go deep, but then they'll come back up right around now, right around April. They'll begin munching on the roots of your turf. So you may have areas, and I experienced this in the fall, and you see in the life cycle here, when I was planting in September, October, that's when grub rooting feeding, in September and October, I experienced this in my own lawn right over here. When I planted for the first time, I planted my GCI fescue grass. I had like a crop circle, and I wish I still had the picture. I don't think I do. It's about this section over here, because there's areas on the berm here that was growing, and now it seems to be slowing down, and I don't know why that is. There's still grass there, but it's just not taking off like the areas around it. As you see, look at these little patches. I'm curious to know what the little patches are about, because I'm not sure, unless it's ants or some kind of insect trying to mess with it. It was literally like a circle, and it was just everywhere else my grass looked fine, but there was here and another spot where it was just like the grass was like this tall, but everything else had grown up this tall, and it looked like a crop circle. And I was like, what the heck is that? And I know for a fact now that it's grubs. So grubs will come up in the spring. Now remember, if you're in a cool season lawn and fescue, guys, you are actively growing pretty fast. Some say, I think Alan Hain has mentioned this, the grass and turf is growing so fast that if you're fertilizing it, that it's the fertilizer and the nitrogen that is flowing through the plant right now, the grubs are not going to do enough damage to be able to stop that. Even if they are munching on the roots, some say that it doesn't matter. You're not going to even notice it because of the nitrogen and the fertilizer we're applying. It's going to constantly keep growing back. It's not going to harm it. Not to say that it can't cause damage. So if you are seeing, and if I have any pictures and not put them up, I'll put them up here, of grub damage, you may see areas in your lawn that look like it's dying off. It can be pulled up easily. Obviously, if grubs are eating at the roots of our fescue, what does that mean? Well, it's not deeply rooted in the ground because the roots are now gone. They're in the grub's stomach. And so that grass is going to pull up very easily. So if you suspect grub damage in your lawn, go to that area and take a handful of the grass and pull up and see if that grass comes up easily. Because if the roots are gone from the grubs eating it, that grass is just gonna pull up and you're like, holy crap. And then you may actually physically see white grubs in the dirt. So check that out. Scott's obviously makes a 24-hour killer. There's also grub prevention. And I always get confused on when is the proper time to do it, but all I know is based on the life cycle right now, the grubs are beginning to come back to the surface of our nice lawns where we have nice grass with roots, and they begin to munch on it, and you may want to put out some type of grub prevention. It's not mandatory. You don't have to do this every year, but if you are seeing grub damage, you would want to get something that's going to kill it immediately. I think it's a nicotine type product that makes the grub feel like it is full, so it doesn't eat, and it basically just kills it. It's a nicotine almost that comes from cigarettes. So it's the same thing. They ingest this nicotine, they think they're full, but they haven't eaten at all, and they end up dying of lack of food. They starve themselves. So you can find 24 hours. I think it's Bio Advanced has some out there. So we're talking about insecticide, and we're talking about insects and grubs today. So I hope this has been beneficial. I highly recommend the Tallstar. If you don't do grub treatment, which I don't think I'm going to do a grub treatment until I start seeing some issues. I did grub treatments for 2 years. I haven't really seen any evidence of it. When I'm digging in the dirt, when I'm pulling up the poatriv, I'm not seeing any white grubs in my lawn. So I'm not going to treat for them. I'm just going to see what happens. But if you're seeing crop circles, if you're planting grass in the spring, you guys that are planting new grass, and maybe some of that grass begins to come up, but other areas are super slow and you're suspecting grubs, just give it a little tug, and then you may need to do a spot dig. take your shovel, spot dig, see if you see any white grubs and say, oh crap, we need to get some grub killer. They'll eat it, they'll die, you'll be fine. But highly recommend this if you're having any outdoor activity. If you're gonna have your back patio, you don't wanna have mosquitoes bothering you, you wanna be able to grill in peace without bugs landing on your steak, I recommend the Tallstar. I spray it at the base of my home. I actually coat my steps as well as in my lawn. God bless you. I hope this has been educational. Leave me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed this video. If you've learned something today, give it a thumbs up. Comment below other products you guys enjoy, and I hope to catch you on another lawn care video on Friday. God bless you.